Good morning, good afternoon, or good night, and welcome to Command Power, the show in which we discuss all things Magic the Gathering with a focus on Commander. And today we have another episode in our Spoiler Spotlight series in which I talk about, well, spoilers and tell you what my thoughts are on them. But before that, just a quick reminder to click subscribe if you enjoy my videos. We're well on our way to 1 million subscribers and your support means everything to me. And today we're going to be talking about Nardole, Resourceful Cyborg. For 1 colorless and 1 blue, it's a legendary artifact creature, Scientist 1/2, with tap, add blue for each counter on Nardole. Spend this mana only to cast non-creature spells, and Undying. When this creature dies, if it had no +1/+1 counters on it, return it to the battlefield under its owner's control with a +1/+1 counter on it. And it has Doctor's Companion, which means you can have it as an extra commander if the other commander is a doctor. So this is a really cool design that really drew me in. It's exactly the kind of build around that I like having, that challenges me a lot to build it in different ways. I think it's really cool as an addition to the Doctor as well, because by itself it would limit you a little bit to just be in blue, but seeing as you can add it onto 2 other colors, you can suddenly get access to a lot more stuff, and then it can become much more powerful. It does require a couple of very specific build arounds, but I do like that that is the case, and that it's not just always generically good. So it's going to be really good in green-blue, I feel, in particular, because that is the color that has the most support for counters, although white-blue can also reasonably put a lot of counters on it, and really these days almost every color has a little bit of counter synergy. Green is definitely where you want to be with this. Green-white, if possible, would be the best combination, seeing as Bant has all of the best +1/+1 counter synergy. But then there's another restriction as well, which is that you can't use the mana that he adds to cast creature spells. You have to use it for non-creature spells. It also doesn't allow you, crucially, to use it for abilities. It specifically says you have to use it for non-creature spells. So that is a little bit awkward, because otherwise you could kind of build around big X abilities. But in the way that it is worded, we are definitely going to be building around non-creature stuff exclusively. What makes it particularly interesting is that Undying ability, because we haven't really seen that very often in blue. I mean, there were a couple of instances during the original Innistrad and Dark Ascension where blue creatures had Undying, but mostly it's been a red, black, and occasionally green thing. However, here it kind of is a little bit anti-synergistic almost, because you want to be pumping this with a bunch of counters initially so that you can use his ability to add mana, because he can't actually add any mana at all by himself. But once you do that, you're turning off the Undying ability, essentially. Seeing as if he dies, he had +1/+1 counters on it, so he would not be able to come back to life. There are a bunch of ways around this. The counters that are put on him don't necessarily need to be +1/+1 counters in order for him to add mana, so you could say put an oil counter on him somehow and then proliferate those counters, but that just seems a lot more convoluted and harder than just putting +1/+1 counters on him. So with all that said, I feel like he's probably not going to be the best at actually being the central focal point of a deck, but rather he's going to be a good support card in certain decks that kind of want to be doing the things that he's doing. So for example, take the commander we discussed earlier today, Me the Immortal. She wants to be having all sorts of counters put on her, and you're probably going to be playing a fair few non-creature spells in that deck to protect her. So in that deck he becomes quite good, because you can incidentally put counters on him as well, because you're going to have so many ways to put counters on stuff, and then use the mana that he provides to cast other stuff, and thus get the ball kind of rolling. You can also incidentally use some of the protection effects that you might be using to protect Me to protect him if he has a bunch of counters on him and you're scared about him getting removed and you losing access to all of that mana. So to sum up my feelings on this card, I like the design, although I think it is quite restrictive and it's going to be difficult to really abuse this card. I think it's eminently fair and it's a well-designed card that's going to fit into very niche sort of decks. So there you have it. Those have been my thoughts on this new spoiler. What do you think about this card? Please let me know in the comment section below. I read all comments and respond to all of them too. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to click like or subscribe. It really helps the channel. And until next time, take care. Woo!